What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Chopping Mall. So this was a first time watch for me. I've known about this movie for quite a while, but I never got around to watching it. Initially, for the longest time, I did not want to watch this, even though I'm a huge slasher fan. I'm a huge 80s horror fan. I just didn't want to check this out for the longest time because I saw images of it, and to be 100% honest with you all, I thought the robots in this looked kind of silly. I'm like, these are supposed to be these killer robots. They don't look menacing whatsoever. Like, realistically, they kind of look like Wall-E. They have they don't have legs. They're like, they just roll around on these little treads, and they're these like shorter robots. They really do look like Wall-E. So I don't know. Just always in my head, I was like, I don't know how this movie can't be good. These robots, they don't look menacing whatsoever. They look kind of silly. I'm like, I don't want to waste my time with this. But like I said, I've been listening to this horror podcast, Beyond the Void, and I saw that they had an episode on this movie. So once again, I wanted to watch the movie so I could listen to the episode. And it's getting warm out for some reason. Once it starts getting into like spring, close to summer, I really get the itch to watch horror movies and a lot of 80s slasher movies. I don't know. I've just always really gravitated towards horror in the summer. Because there's so many heavy hitters. You got the Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp movies. There's a lot of even like. I feel like Texas Chainsaw, that's a good movie to watch during the summer. Wrong Turn, like there's so many, I don't know, horror movies that kind of give me that summertime feel where I kind of, even horror movies that aren't summer centric, I kind of just in my head like correlate horror with summer. Of course, I correlate it with October and the fall as well, but yeah, those are like, besides the fall, like the summer is the second most prevalent time where I'm just like, I just really get the itch to just watch horror. So yeah, I got the bug again. I got the itch, and I'm thinking about checking stuff out. So like I said, initially I didn't want to check this out because I thought it was not going to be good. And I'm telling you what, I thought this movie was good. This was a solid slasher. It was action packed. It was interesting. There were like very few boring parts. It moved at like a pretty good pace. It had a short runtime, interesting premise. Overall, this was a good movie, and I'm very glad I checked it out. So there you go. That's my overall opinion. Now I'm going to jump into a quick plot summary. So basically, this movie centers around a group of teenagers, and they get trapped in this mall overnight, and they're being pursued by these security robots, and the security robots have malfunctioned, and now they've become murderous, and these robots are just tracking down the teenagers, trying to kill them, and the teenagers are using everything at the mall, everything in their disposal to survive, and they have to survive the entire night because they're locked in. So that's the basic plot summary. Okay, the first point that I want to get into is, I kind of briefly touched on this, I believe. I think the setting was fantastic and the premise was really unique. And I feel like this movie, there was a very good blend in this movie of, all the formulaic stuff you want with a slasher movie, especially an 80s slasher. And then, there was like quite a bit of kind of fresh, creative, different stuff as well. I mean, mainly the movie played out like a typical slasher, but I don't know. I thought, well, actually, I'll get into all the characters and the, more of the story later on. But yeah, it was formulaic in the sense of, you had all these teens, they're partying, they're drinking, there's nudity, they're having sex, there's this kind of nerdy, good girl type girl, and it's like, who do you think is going to be the final girl? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Who could it be? Gee, who could it be? All these girls who are, smoking cigs and drinking and, and having sex, or this nerdy chick who is just, she's kind of shy. Like, I don't know. I don't know who it could be between those choices. So it is kind of formulaic, which I love. I love uh, the kind of like predictability of slashers. It's like it gives you what you're craving when you want to watch one of those types of movies. You're looking for kind of the same stuff, and it just scratches the itch, so to speak. I keep saying itch in this video. I don't know. Like I need to moisturize or something. Anyways, there is all that formulaic stuff, but also, there's some stuff that's pretty fresh. I don't recall another slasher movie. There probably is one, but I don't recall another slasher movie with killer robots. So many slashers of that time. It's just like a guy with a knife. Maybe he has a mask. Maybe he doesn't have a mask. It's just a crazy person, And I love a lot of movies it's just like a crazy guy escape. Like, how many movies is it like some crazy guy escaped from an asylum, or some, I don't know, you got some crazy guy either with a mask or without a mask killing scantily clad ladies. Like, I love those movies, but it's so much of the same. This, where you have these like security bots that malfunction and they have all these weapons and tools at their disposal. I thought that was really unique, and the whole mall was kind of that, like, it had this upgraded security system. It had these like giant doors that would like close on command, and it was interesting because like this came out in the 80s, but like they were thinking about some high tech stuff. That would be funny though if like they can't even implement security robots now. It's like, yeah, in 1986 we got these security robots. Like, it's kind of far fetched, but I thought it was like a really unique premise. Also, the setting was super unique. I mean, malls are the bomb.com. This was during the peak of malls. Like, I feel like the 80s and 90s were when, malls were at their biggest. It was before internet shopping, and that was like a hangout for like a lot of young people. Like, they would just go to the mall and hang out, and it was just like, it was like a center for social activity. So, it's a great setting during that time, and I feel like malls looked really cool during that time. So I really like vaporwave music and synthwave music, and whenever I'm listening to playlists or compilations on YouTube, a lot of the covers are these like 80s malls, and this mall was like very aesthetically pleasing. It looked very cool. It had like a lot of like these like big white ceilings and these giant white banisters and this red carpet, and then it was all set at the mall at night, and there you would get to see all these like neon lights. It's like a neon, green light, neon blue light, neon pink light. The mall setting was great, and in addition to it looking cool and being during the prime time of when malls were at their peak, it's also cool because you have that extra element in the mix where the characters are trapped, so like that's like adds like another element of fear. Like, they can't escape. And then there's all like on an opposite end, it's like it's like good for the characters too, where it's like they have so many resources at their disposal. So it's like, if they have to face up against this like unstoppable enemy, it's like they might as well be in a mall where it's like, oh, there's a sports store, they have guns. Oh, there's this store that has mannequins, we can utilize that. This store has gasoline. Like, yeah, there's all kinds of resources at the mall. So it was a great setting. Plus, it gave me like Dawn of the Dead vibes. I'm a huge fan of that movie, and I don't know, when they're like going to the sporting goods store getting guns, that just reminded me of like when they're getting all the guns at the gun store in Dawn of the Dead. So jumping on to another point, jumping out. I don't know. I'm gonna start jumping rope during these videos. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm being weird, but that would probably, I don't know, I'd probably get really good calves. I'll get real defined up in it. I would get like, no, I can't grow my calves. That's unfortunate because I mean, ladies do love calves. I don't know why I'm saying it weird like that. But anyways, I'm just being a weirdo. Let me jump on to the next point. Okay, I'm talking about there's so many resources, but it's like you gotta be resourceful to utilize the resources. The characters in this were resourceful. They were shockingly smart. You know, that's kind of a trope as well in horror movies or slash movies, that these characters are dumb. They make dumb decisions just so the plot can move along. I feel like these characters were super smart. You know, they're grabbing tanks of propane and they're trying to like shoot the propane. They're like immediately finding guns. The guys are like telling the girls, okay, escape through this heating duct and you can escape. And like they're always, even if their initial plan doesn't work, they'll like very quickly come up with another plan. And that like later on in the movie, the girls make all these Molotovs and you know, they a lot of the times someone brings up splitting up, they're like, no, we have to stay in groups. And then later on, like the characters place all these mannequins to distract the robots, because you would think like the robot, like they can't really tell the difference, so it's like the robots just shoot up the mannequins. That was smart. And then later they're like, okay, we have to disable the computer. That's our main mission. Disable the computer, the robots will go down, we'll be all good. We can't fight them with like, you know, brute strength, and you know the guns are barely doing anything, so it's like we gotta go you know, cut them off from the source. We gotta cut off the computer. So yeah, I feel like these characters were really smart, and it was like that just, I don't know, it added to the movie where it wasn't like you were like rolling your eyes or groaning like, oh, like that's so dumb, that's like not believable. Like these kids stepped up. It was like fight or flight. Like they were, yeah, they made mistakes here and there, and sometimes if someone would get killed, like they would get emotional, and then they would, that's when other people would get killed, is because they would like think more with their emotions. They wouldn't be as logical. But overall, I thought the characters were really smart, and that really added to my overall enjoyment. Like I said too, there was like the movie was action packed. It was a thrill ride. The pace was good. Like it's not a boring movie. Like a lot of slasher movies have these lulls and these super boring parts. Maybe there was a couple in this movie here and there, like maybe in the third act a little bit, you know, like the last little final standout, like or standoff or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, pretty action-packed movie, and like I said, super smart characters. I just want to mention there's this instance where this character is going to a cigarette machine to buy cigarettes for his girlfriend, and I thought that was interesting because I've always heard older people talk about cigarette machines, and they're like, yeah, you could just buy cigarettes out of a vending machine back in the day. I'm like, that's nuts. Like when I hear stuff like that, like, oh, you could smoke on planes back in the day, you could buy cigarettes in a vending machine. Since I'm, you know, grew up in an era where like that was not a thing at all, I was like, I just always think like that's crazy. I want to see what that looks like. So I actually got to see the kid like try to buy cigarettes from the machine, and I'm like, oh, that's what they look like. You know, that's how you do it. You just, I think he put quarters in it or something. I don't even think he might have not even had enough of the cigarettes, but I don't know. It was cool like seeing the actual visual of that, because I've heard the lore. I've heard older people talk about these cigarette vending machines, and I'm like, that's the craziest thing ever. That's the coolest thing. I want to see what one of those looks like. I could have just Googled it, but that would have been lame. So yeah, I got to see it, and that was kind of fun. And then the last thing I really want to talk about is the kills, and then I'm gonna skedaddle. So I thought the kills were pretty darn good. You know, you see everything, even if it is maybe the kill is a cutaway. For the most part, you always see the aftermath. The kills, there's a good amount of variety. You have like some standouts. There's like a really good throat slit. There's this one girl gets like burned. She's just totally in flames. There's this guy, he gets thrown off like this 2 or 3 story balcony, and then when he falls, he has his arm back behind him and he has his head cocked to the side, and he looks like Peter Griffin when, you know, there was that Family Guy episode where Peter Griffin was falling down the stairs. That kill was really good, but it was funny. Like when he was on the ground, like I don't know if I did laugh out loud, but maybe I just smiled. I was like, that looks like when Peter Griffin was just falling down the stairs. Like he had his arm exactly like that. That was great. But that was a good kill because, I mean, that's always a fear I've had in malls. You know, when once you go up a couple stories, there's like not much of a railing, and sometimes it's like a glass railing. You can just like see how high up you are. Even when you're going up a escalator, you're like, man, what if I just fell right now? What if someone fell? Like, I mean, these couple story malls, they've always freaked me out. I don't like heights to begin with. So yeah, that kill was, it was cool to see. You got to see the aftermath, and you know, it played on a very real fear that I personally have. So that's always good. And then the best kill in the movie for me was, there's this girl, like the robots have these lasers, and they shoot this girl in the head with the laser, and her head just completely explodes. It's like splattery. It's great. That's the best kill in the movie. It's, I don't know, it's what I look for when I'm watching a killer robot slasher movie. I'm looking for some head explosions. I got it, so there you go. Yeah, so that was pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about regarding the movie. So in terms of a recommendation, I would recommend this movie. I think this is a good slasher movie. I don't know if I like this is gonna be a staple for me where I'm gonna rewatch it a bunch of times, but I definitely think it's good. It's not a bad movie by any means. I was like very pleasantly surprised. Like I said, the movie overall moved at a good pace. You had smart characters, a lot of action, great setting. You had some familiar formulaic tropes. You had, you know, this interesting kind of sci-fi angle with the security robots that went haywire and are now murderous. So yeah, this movie had a lot of really good stuff going for it. So I would definitely recommend it. So that has been my recommendation, and that has been my review of Chopping Mall. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.